Hunter Yurachek, Arkansas Director of Athletics, joining us on the Chuck and Bo Show. Hunter, good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Hunter.
Happy Friday, Chuck. Bo, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. What kind of a week has it been for you? How would you sum it up?
It's been a great week. I mean, the introduction of Ryan Silverfield officially on Sunday, and just to see the work that he's done in 4 days to start to put together a roster, to start to put together a staff, just amazing what he's been able to accomplish in a very short period of time.
Hunter, what's it been like for you this week for us to get to know the Ryan Silverfield that you got to know during this process?
Well, I think you've seen that as people have gotten to interact with Ryan, to see Ryan interact with the media, our donors, people in our community, our student athletes, prospective student athletes in recruiting. They saw what I saw in Ryan in early October when him and I first spoke, that first of all, he's a great person. In addition to being a great football coach, he's got incredible work ethic. And he wants to be an Arkansas Razorback, and he wants to restore the pride of our Razorback football program and build this into a championship program.
There was a moment in the press conference yesterday where he finished his remarks, and then he said, but by the way, Quincy, we got something here. Quincy Rhodes, what are you going to do? You staying for your senior year? And KJ Jackson, you staying with us? Yeah, Coach, I'm staying. And it was a big moment. And you said, I didn't even know that. That's big news. What went through your head immediately when that happened?
Well, I knew he'd made a connection Sunday. I was in the first team meeting on Sunday, and you could just tell looking around the room that he had made a connection with those kids, and they were excited to have him as their head coach. But Quincy's a big piece of returning on defense. KJ's a big piece returning on offense. Both leaders of our team. There's a few more that have signed and committed to come back, and it's really important as you're starting to build a culture and build the base for this football program that you have your leaders from your current team and some of the most talented players that have decided they want to be a part of this moving forward.
Hunter, when you made the announcement in a press release, you talked about there's a new and significant investment into the football program. But I want to go back a little bit. It hasn't been working in football. What changed beyond firing the coach and Petrino being the interim and knowing you were going on a coaching search? What's changed? What do you think has to change with Razorback football beyond the head coach?
Yeah, we needed to make a more significant investment first and foremost in our staff, and that's the assistant coaches pool. That's our support staff. But more importantly, we needed to really step up and make sure we had the right investment in place to acquire the talent that's going to be on the field each and every season. And that's a combination of the revenue sharing, which we had to make some really difficult decisions during the past year so that we could fit the $20.5 million of revenue sharing into our Department of Athletic budget. But then we have to supplement that revenue sharing with legitimate NIL opportunities, and we have figured out a way to do that. There's going to be support. There's alignment from the board to the assistant president, to the chancellor, to the athletic director, to the football coach, that investment is going to be made. And that's significant moving forward because you see that in some of the schools around the country that are going to be considered for the CFP. I'll use Texas Tech as a prime example of that. We played Texas Tech in the 2024 Liberty Bowl. Texas Tech looks dramatically different today than they did roughly this time last year, and that's because they made an investment in the talent acquisition of their program. And that investment has to come from a number of places. That's the Department of Athletics. It's a commitment from the university, and that's a commitment from so many generous donors that we have across our state.
There's a lot of guys that can coach football. One of the things that I've been impressed with Coach Silverfield about is his passion, his energy, and nothing's beneath him. Like, he seems like he's willing to talk to anybody. I use the analogy, like I could see him, walking across campus and asking somebody if he could hop in and ride with him that he didn't even know. Like he doesn't come in with this aura that's these things are beneath him. How much of like him being a fit at this given time played into your decision?
Was a big part of it. When you think about where he started, it's an 18-year-old volunteer coach at a Division III school, then a student assistant, and he worked his way up from his Division III roots up to the assistant coach at all levels of football before he became a coordinator at Memphis and then the head coach at Memphis. He's a grinder. He works hard. He's got incredible work ethic. And does anything say more about our state and the pride of our state than this just hard-working people that have built things from the ground up and been extremely successful? I mean, that is Arkansas. And that's what I think really defines this state. And so I think he is the right person at the right time. And look, he was just across the river. He's recruited this state. He has great relationships with high school coaches. He already had relationships with many of our players because he had recruited them at Memphis when he was the head coach. And so he was definitively the right person at the right time for our football program.
What was the search like? 2 months long. You know you're not going to probably get a coach hired until you get right down to the end because things are moving and there's a domino effect and all that. But you also don't want to be some of these schools that are, still trying to hire a coach or hiring a coach basically on National Signing Day. So you're trying to work the process and get who you want, but also know things can change. What was that all like?
Having the runway of roughly 60 days gave me an opportunity to talk to coaches across the country, some from, sitting college head coaches, sitting coordinators, NFL coaches, people that had an interest in our program, and really narrow that field down to 9 coaches that I felt could do the job here at the University of Arkansas. And then from those 9, we narrowed it down to 3, and then for those 3, we narrowed it down to 2 and really started to zero in on those 2, and Ryan was one of those 2. And, for me, I know there's frustration from Razorback fans because there's a lack of information in the way I run searches because I run them really tight, and I run them really tight out of respect for the coaches, especially that are sitting in current jobs and don't want to be exposed. Some expose themselves, whether it's through their agents or because they're trying to get a raise at their school, and that's where a lot of the rumors come from. Some people just want to act like they're in the know, and they throw other rumors out there. But I said yesterday during the press conference that no one on the Department of Athletics staff knew until Saturday night after a game in Missouri who we were hiring. And that's how tight I ran this search. And so there's a lot of information that gets floated out there from various sources, but it's not coming from me. And that's really out of respect for the coaches that I'm trying to keep in the mix in this search. And because coaches get a little freaked out if their name gets out there unless they truly want it to get out there.
Well, I've wondered more than once throughout this process. I mean, I'm sure you can't avoid, what people from the outside say completely, although I'm sure you insulate yourself as much as possible. Do you ever find yourself thinking, man, where are they getting this stuff?
Kyle Parkinson would come in and say, hey, just want to let you know this rumor's floating out there. And I would ask Kyle, I said, where do you think that's coming from? But, yeah, I mean, I think some of it's coaches that are trying to have some leverage at their current place. Some of it's coaches that want to be in the mix and are trying to get their name in the mix and act like they're a part of it. And some's just misinformation that people want to float out there and act like they are in the know. And a lot of it's used as clickbait and things of that nature. But that's, as I insulate myself and really don't follow what's happening on social media and local media during a coaching search because I don't want that noise to interfere with what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's in bringing a great coach like Ryan Silverfield to lead our program.
I've got a question about Silverfield because you obviously talk to a lot of people about him, and people that have played for him and worked with him have commented, and we've heard some of that, and some of it's come toward us. They all talk about how detail-oriented he is. I mean, to an extreme that this guy, there's no stone that's going to be left unturned. Is that the impression you got from him during this process?
When we went to his home and met with him for about 4.5 hours, and I'd asked them to asked each of their final candidates to put together kind of a calendar for their first 100 days, how they're going to use the NIL and revenue sharing and recruiting and the retention piece, and how they're going to put the attention to detail he had in answering those 3 questions took about 4.5 hours. And I saw that then and there that we were on to the right person, and you can see that now. He's in the office every night till about 12:30. He goes back to his temporary apartment and gets 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and he's back in the office no later than 5 a.m. And he's just got incredible work ethic. The attention to detail is something that I think is really special from him, and I think that's what you need from a true CEO of a football program.
You touched on it yesterday, but I'm interested just to hear a little bit more about your vetting of him and all the people you talked to and how that ended up making you feel about the guy you were pulling the trigger on, because you've got a lot at stake. I explain this all the time. People can all have opinions, but I don't know if any one person has more riding on it than you do, because you're the guy hiring them.
Yeah, it's really important to do your background on all of these candidates and talk to people that have worked with them within an athletic department, within an NFL organization, that have played for them as a coach, just to find out truly what type of person they are, the demeanor they have, how they interact with the rest of your staff within your department. And I tried hard to get someone to say something negative about Ryan Silverfield, and no one could say anything negative about how he was as a person, how he was as a head coach, how he was as a husband and a father, how he was just truly as a person, how he interacted with donors. I mean, everything was extremely positive about him.
Hunter, we'll wrap it up with this. You came in, and I think the charge was, hey, we want a broadly successful athletic department. And that's happened. You've had a lot of championships, SEC championships. I don't know if any SEC schools had more in that period of time in all these other sports. And basketball looks great, but football is something our state cares deeply about, and it just hasn't been there. You went out and you've addressed that. What would you tell Razorback fans now about where they are positioned from an expectation standpoint to compete in the SEC?
Yeah, the investment that we have committed to make, and it's from the university, from the top down, from the system, the board, from the top down, is going to put us in a position where we can compete to win SEC and national championships, just like our men's basketball program's position, just like our baseball program, softball, gymnastics, soccer, et cetera, our position. Look, your position to win a national championship doesn't mean you're going to win a national championship, but it gives you an opportunity year in and year out to have a program on that football field that we are all proud of, that will pack Razorback Stadium, and that it is something moving forward that is going to make football just like men's basketball and baseball and softball and all those programs that we are so proud of. You touched on about, like, I'm the director of athletics. I have 450 student athletes among 19 sports, and I want every single one of them to have an opportunity to have success and win a championship. But with that said, I understand how important the success of our football program is to the health of our Department of Athletics, to the health of our university, and to everyone across this state, and we're going to get it right with Ryan Silverfield.
Hunter, thanks so much. I know it's been a busy week, and it continues into the Selection Sunday this weekend when we figure out who's going to be in the playoff. We look forward to catching up soon and appreciate your time today. Best wishes.
You got it, but I think you're going to be in Dallas on Sunday, right?
I am. I'll be down there for our Inside the College Football Playoff Series, so I'll see you down there.
Well, I look forward to my next interview with you on a different topic.
Sounds good. I'll see you there. Thanks for the time again.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys.
Hey, by the way, let me know if I can just fly back with you. That'll work out great.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care. Bye.
I didn't hear a commitment there. I didn't hear a commitment.
He's got to vet me. He's going to have to call references.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff at the end
knows.
there. I appreciate his candor about just where they were, where he thinks they are now. We can get into it when we come back.